second grade, and welcome back to Read Aloud for Thursday. So today we've got another beautiful book with beautiful illustrations. It's called Piece by Piece, written by Stephanie Shaw and illustrated by Sylvie Gagenolt. I'm not quite sure how to say that. That sounds like a French name, but Sylvie Gagenolt. Okay, let's start reading. Once upon a time, a weaver tucked a memory into her collection basket. All day she gathered them up. The crunch of leaves, the springness of moss, the leap and splash of a fish. All night she wove the day's bounty into cloth. It was rich, exquisite, unique. Tell us, asked her children. Tell us where this came from. The weaver held a piece of fabric to her nose. Ah, she smiled. The sweetness of a puppy. What else? The breath of a hot air balloon as it floats against a morning sky, and the squish of mud between your toes. The weaver began to sew piece by piece. Every now and then, the children playing among the bolts of cloth asked, "Tell us about this one." And of course, she did. When the garment was finished, she laid it in a box. The bodice was a sparkle of starlight with the skirt full as a spring meadow. Along the edge was lace like the foam of an ocean wave. Tucked in the folds of the gown were treasures, some dragon scales, a pirate sash, and the red flash of a blackbird's wing. The weaver closed her eyes. She dreamed of all she could buy for her children with the money the dress would bring. Shoes of soft leather, loaves of thickly braided bread, sweet crisp apples, and paper bags of warm roasted nuts. In the village the next day, she held the dress against her so a shopkeeper could see it. "What's this?" the shopkeeper asked, pointing to the shimmering top. "Starlight and candle glow." "I could never sell this," he replied. "What absolute nonsense. I suggest you remove that part." So the weaver returned home. She gently snipped at the threads that held the garment together. Piece by piece, pale and shimmering cloth fell to the floor. When the weaver returned to the shopkeeper frowned. What's all this?" he asked, pointing to the skirt held before him. "A day when gentle breezes sway the tall grass and wild flowers," she answered. "Oh, that's much too full. Much too much," the shopkeeper's wife chimed in. "And what about the flounce at the end?" "The kiss of the sea as it reaches the shore." "Well, we can't have any kissing," said the shopkeeper. "That needs to go." So the weaver returned home again. The children watched as piece by piece an indigo night fell to the floor. The coo of a dove, the juiciness of a tangerine, a bit of coral from a tropical reef, the glint of a saber, the scent of chocolate and cinnamon. "I've done as he asked," the weaver said to herself. She slowly walked to the shop. The children ran ahead to the village fair, carrying a mysterious package. "Now what have you brought us?" The shopkeeper peered over his glasses. His wife scowled. "The wishes from a dandelion on a summer's day," the weaver said. the whisper of a fog rising from a lake, frost caught on a spider's web. He held the gauzy fabric up to the light. Bah, he replied, too small, too flimsy. No one has any use for this. But the weaver turned away and used it to catch her tears. As she left the shop, the children ran to her. Come and see what we made. At the village fair, there were displays of golden honey, bunches of lavender, and pyramids of brilliant fruits and vegetables. Through row after row and stall after stall, the children ran, pulling the weaver along. Finally, they came to a crowd of people gathered around a quilt hanging between two trees. Rich, said a woman. Exquisite, said another. Unique, said a third. The shopkeeper, hearing the cheers from the square, pushed through the crowd. He did not bother to look at the quilt. His greedy eyes were on the people asking where they might buy something so beautiful for themselves. He turned to the weaver and said, You must sell this to me, and as many more as you can weave. We'll make a fortune selling them from my shop. The weaver touched each piece of the quilt. The blueness of a robin's egg, a meringue of sky. She was sure she caught sight of a dragon's scale. Never, she whispered. That night, the weaver smoothed the new quilt as she tucked the children into bed. Tell us, they said. The weaver moved her hand slowly across the pieces. She stopped when she came to one as soft as a pony's nose. Once upon a time, she said. The end, second grade. I hope you enjoyed those absolutely beautiful, exquisite illustrations and the story of Piece by Piece. So thank you so much for joining me for another awesome week of Read Alouds. So go ahead and move that body, go get a glass of water so you can get back to your awesome work.